So as I sit here behind my Coke Zero to cover up, the gut. Anyway, I was thinking about the gospel, and I was thinking about how there's nothing like the gospel in all of like media and all fiction. There's no fiction that matches the gospel. There's no history other than the gospel like the gospel. There's no story in mankind like the gospel. Again, except the gospel. Some folks are like, well, what about the redemption arcs you see in modern fiction? We'll stick with stuff that's modern, Tony Stark. What about the redemption arc of Darth Vader? The redemption arcs of all these people, and they're like, well, there's a redemption arc. And again, in the story, there is a redemption arc. But let's look at what that redemption arc is. See, Tony Stark, you end up getting a guy who's an arrogant, as he self-describes, he's a billionaire playboy philanthropist. So here you see that he is very much self-powered. The Iron Man suit kind of reflects that. It's self-powered. It's powered from Tony, not it powers Tony. So while I get that he becomes a better person, we're talking about a redemption arc of self-improvement. And though you can see people who have a self-improvement somewhere in their life and it sticks, it stays, they become respectable, respectful, great people. Let's look at Darth Vader. Darth Vader, you've got the father of Luke here. By the way, spoiler alert, Darth Vader's Luke's dad. And Luke, the son, saves his father in a way. And he does so by, quote unquote, finding good in him. And that sounds good, by the way. This is eggs with sausage and feta cheese and homemade bruschetta on top. This is so good. So you end up seeing the good that's found in someone. The gospel is unlike that. The gospel says that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. It says that God made him who knew no sin to become sin, not to sin, but to become sin. And it says, for our sake, God made him who knew no sin to become sin for us, so that by him we might become the righteousness of God. And if you examine those two verses, it actually demonstrates to you that there's zero merit, zero good in you that is utilized or leaned upon or drawn upon to bring you to faith that saves you. In fact, we might even go back into one of the Gospels where Jesus says that no man comes to him except that the Father draws him. There again, we look at a zero input on your part. In Ephesians, it says that you were dead in the trespasses and sins in which you once walked. And right there we see that as a dead man, as a dead woman, there's no input. It actually later on follows up, says, but God being rich in mercy. It doesn't say, but man being wise and intelligent and seeing the danger before him. It says, but God being rich in mercy, because of the love with which he loved us. It doesn't have anything to do with don't get me wrong, once saved, once redeemed, once justified, you will start to see an outworking of God's grace in a person with actual obedience. But it's not because there's some good in you, but good gets put in you. The Holy Spirit then, indwelling in his creatures, begins to work out their salvation. Their salvation starts to work. So when you look back in the garden and you see Adam with his wife choose the one sin, disobey the one command that they were given in paradise, to rebel against the one small command they were given in perfection. And then you see that God using Christ obeys every command, the multitude of commands, in a fallen world where sin is all around him. And in reality, what he does is he is obedient. He's obedient all the way to the point where that obedience requires that he die. His entire life of righteous obedience transferred to the sinner, and the sinner's sin transferred to the Son. That's not seen anywhere in any literature, any movie, any historical event except for the gospel.